The rifle's crack split the Texas air like a whip, and Ethan Harlan dove behind a jagged rock as bullets whizzed past, kicking up dust from the Rio Grande Valley floor. Blood trickled from a gash on his forehead, mixing with the gritty red soil, while his horse lay crumpled 20 yards away, riddled with 3 slugs in its flank. Silas Crow's voice boomed across the canyon walls. "Come on out, Ethan. You gunned down my kiddo. It's payback time." Ethan checked his revolver. 5 rounds left. 7 men were closing in like coyotes on a fresh kill, under the relentless sun baking the borderlands. The closest shelter was Blackthorn Station, a half-mile sprint across open scrubland where any fool would get picked off. But Ethan Harlan hadn't played it smart since he donned that Union blue during the war, the day he learned some sins dog your heels straight to perdition and beyond. He bolted from cover, legs pumping as gunfire thundered behind him. Smoke curled from a stovepipe at the water stop ahead. A woman emerged on the porch, shielding her eyes from the glare, her auburn hair glowing like embers in the heat. What would she do when killers knocked on her door? Would you stake it all on a stranger fleeing his demons? Drop a comment below which dusty Texas outpost hooks you deepest, because what unfolds at Blackthorn Station will push the line between redemption and ruin to its breaking point. Ethan slammed to the ground, tumoring behind the water trough as rounds splintered the porch rails. The auburn-haired woman hadn't budged, just stood there eyeing him as he bled into her dirt. "You fleeing them, or chasing your own storm?" she hollered, cool as if chatting about the rain. Ethan clamped a hand to the hole in his side. "Ma'am, I'd be obliged if Lydia Hayes," she cut in, descending the steps. "And I know your face, Ethan Harlan. That $1,000 bounty on your head sticks in the mind." She wore a faded calico dress that clung to her in the humidity, sweat tracing lines down her neck, her hazel eyes sizing him up like a hawk spotting a lame rabbit. Silas's shout carried over the brush. "We see you in there, Harlan. Hand him over, lady, or we'll torch the place." Lydia's mouth quirked in a half-smirk. "Mr. Harlan, you handy with that iron?" "Yes, ma'am. Can you drop a man coal?" The words hung heavy as the humidity. Ethan locked eyes with her. "When it counts." She jerked her head toward the house. "Then let's get you stitched before you paint my yard red." Inside, the cabin was shaded, scented with mesquite and metal. Lydia glided with the poise of someone who tamed worse than men, her hips swaying as she fetched rags and whiskey. When she stooped for the medicine kit, her bodice dipped, exposing the soft rise of her bosom, skin like polished ivory. "Off with it," she said, not glancing back. Ethan paused. "Ma'am, I've patched up cowboys before, Harlan. Shyness won't staunch the flow." She pivoted, her gaze roaming his muscled frame and the web of scars crisscrossing his torso as he shed his shirt. "Lord, you've got a roadmap of regrets there." Her touch was light on the gash, but it ignited sparks through him. Up close, she smelled of lavender soap and the wild tang of the border winds. "Why the mercy?" he rasped. Lydia's hands froze. "Maybe I've got motives. That bounty buy a girl some freedom." She resumed, her fingers grazing flesh untouched by kindness in years. "But corpses don't cash checks or repay debts." "What debts?" Her eyes met his, sharp as flint. The sort needing a steady shooter who minds his business. Hooves shifted outside Silas, maneuvering his crew, sly as a rattler. Ethan had tangled with bandits, rangers, and border smugglers, but this woman posed threats that went beyond lead. "One thing you ought to know," Lydia murmured, securing the wrap, her dress slipping at the strap to bare her shoulders' curve. "I'm no fragile widow like folks whisper. I'm in trade." She fetched a jug of rot gut and 2 tin cups from a shelf. A move wears for the right buyer's stuff that slips past patrols unspoken. "Guns," she poured, handing him a cup. "Among other shadows. To life, Mr. Harlan." The liquor scorched, but not like realizing he was pinned between Silas's firepower and a dame deadlier than dynamite. "They'll hit at dusk," Lydia said, perching on the edge of the cot beside him. Silas savors the squirm lets you stew on your end. Ethan scanned her face. You talk like you know his breed. I know ambition wrapped in hate, she replied, her hazel depths unreadable. Question is, you aiming to see tomorrow? What's the tap? Her palms settled on his thigh, nails scraping the denim. Ate me on a Hall 1 trip south of the river. Then we vanish, you and me. Her grin was an enigma wrapped in allure. Hinges on your aim, Harlan. A low rumble shook the ground no storm, but riders pounding from the west. Lydia was at the curtain in a flash, peering out. Comanche, she hissed. Raiders theory barreling right for us. Ethan joined her. 5 braves, war-painted, ponies kicking up alkali clouds. Your associates? Clients. But 3 days early. Something's off. The Comanche surged closer, Silas's gang lurking in the scrub. Ethan thumbed his hammer. 5 shots against Armageddon. Lydia, he said low, reckon we're fixing to stare hell down with the sun high. She turned, fear flickering in her eyes but beneath, a feral spark matching her hair's fire. Then let's make it a spectacle they'll curse in the afterlife. The Comanche struck Blackthorn like a twister fierce, unforgiving, no quarter. Ethan rolled aside as the first lance shattered the pane where his head hung. Shards flew like deadly confetti in the sun. Lydia yanked a carbine from under the mattress, fluid as a dancer. Back way, she yelled over the whoops. 2 Lady of Brave burst through the front, knife flashing. Ethan's peacemaker barked once. The warrior crumpled in the dust. Another lunge from the side room. Lydia's rifle boomed, and he sprawled. Then quiet the eerie hush that crawls under your skin. Ethan hugged the wall by the busted window, ears straining. 5 raiders, 2 down 3 out there, plus Silas's shadows in the rocks. The odds twisted uglier by the minute. They craved the cargo, Lydia breathed, chambering rounds with slick precision, her dress ripped at the sleeve now, sweat beading on her exposed arm. Even amid the frenzy, she was a vision that could stop a man's heart. Where? Storm's cellar beneath the floorboards. Her gaze held his. 50 revolvers, enough to outfit a small army. Now it clicked. Silas wasn't just avenging blood. He was after Lydia's smuggling ring and the arsenal stashed under Fuda King's ransom and iron. A silhouette flitted by the rear pane. Ethan tracked it, steady. The Comanche was crafty, waiting like a ghost, but Ethan had skirmished their kind in the frontier campaign. She knew the rhythms. The brave charged low through the door. Ethan's slug punched his chest, but the arrow grazed Ethan's arm, carving a hot furrow. 2 left, Lydia counted, squeezing into the tight space beside him, her warmth pressing close, curves molding against him. Despite the hell, his blood surged for reasons far from battle. We got a shift feel smoke us out. As if on cue, acrid wisps invaded from the cracks. Lydia seized his wrist. Sell away hold there. She hauled him to the kitchen, prying a hidden hatch to reveal ladder rungs into gloom. The root cellar sprawled wider than expected, hewn from limestone, stacked with crates. Lydia lit a lantern, illuminating racks of pistols, ammo crates, and sealed boxes stamped with federal markings. Christ, Lydia, what mess you in? The kind that keeps you breathing, she shot back. Down here, you're hunter or hunted. I picked hunter. Overhead, boots thudded survivors hunting a descent. Smoke thickened, choking through the planks. Exit tunnel, Lydia said, guiding him deeper. My late husband tunneled it before the Comanche claimed him. The passage was tight, shoulders scraping walls. Lydia led, her form silhouetted in the glow, dress hugging every sway. They surfaced 100 yards off, concealed by mesquite thickets. The station blazed, flames clawing the twilight sky like vengeful claws. My God, Lydia whispered, all I scraped together. Ethan gripped her arm. We're drawing breath, that's the win. She faced him, firelight etching loss in her features, but also a hunger that stole his breath. They raise my world, she said, voice cracking. Everything I bled for. We'll forge fresh. Will we? She closed in, breath mingling. What we got, Ethan Harlan? What do any of us? Before he spoke, she claimed his mouth tentative, then ravenous, a soul grasping at survival. Her fingers fumbled his buttons, shaking as she bared his skin. Lydia, he murmured into her. Hush, she gasped. Just block out the ruin. They merged in the thicket's shadow, amid chaos and doom lurking near. Her dress pooled like spilled wine, revealing flesh luminous as dawn. His hands on her drew moans. She arched into him, seeking oblivion in his bulk. It was raw, urgent, a blaze of solace in the inferno, two shattered lives fusing while their pasts burned. After, tangled in the brush, her auburn locks fanned over his chest like autumn leaves. Silas lurks, Ethan said softly. I know. Her tips traced his scars, echoes of brutal yesteryears. He won't quit, not with that stash buried. Comanche'll return with kin. She lifted her head, eyes locking. So, Harlan. He eyed the pyre of her empire, then her stunning, unyielding, treacherous as the border itself. We end it. Tonight, Silas arrived with sunrise, dragging Inferno in his wake. Ethan tallied 9 horsemen through the dawn, missed the core pack swelled by tombstone hard cases. They'd holed up overnight, awaiting embers to reveal survivors. Lydia nestled against him in their lair, breath even but senses sharp. She'd rigged a skirt from his spare shirt, the cloth straining over her figure. Even facing mortality, she commanded the wild. Can't outride him, she murmured. Ain't planning to. Ethan inspected his 6-shooter, 3 cartridges. Lydia clutched a scattergun with scant shells. Slim against 9, but grit sometimes trumped numbersits who craves tomorrow most. Silas reined at the ashes, swinging down, his long coat billowing in the breeze. From afar, Ethan spotted the smug cruelty twisting his mug. Ethan Harlan. Silas bellowed into the canyons. I smell you surviving. Show, and it's swift. Hide, and I draw it out, maybe warm up on your fiery slut first. Lydia's eyes blazed with fury. No one brands me that. Hold. Ethan urged, but he got in these parts. Honor bled from barrels, and Silas had spilled the first drop. The boss waved his crew. Fan out. Scour rocks, brush their close. That's when Lydia grinned, a wolf's gleam chilling Ethan's blood. I held back from the blaze, she whispered, drawing a fuse stick from her improvised garb. Hubby was a blaster, left me a policy. Lydia, no to risky. All this is risk. She kissed him, deep and final. Believe in me, Ethan. He couldn't halt her. She flowed like quicksilver, darting thicket to thicket, wielding the land like a native. Silas's men hollered, guns up, but she melted into the scrub. Ethan trailed, heart pounding. The pursuit wove through rattlesnake maze, twisted hoodoos like nightmares etched in stone. Lydia ghosted in and out, luring them deep. Ethan sniped the laggards. First round fell to mustache thug mid-stride. Second winged a kid gunslick, who ate Lydia's buckshot. 7 down to 5. Silas barked commands, but the maze fractured their push here. Locals ruled. Lydia materialized on an outcrop, dynamite poised, match aglow. Silas, she taunted. Fancy dancing with flames? He gawked up. Ethan saw realization dawn the fool who dismissed her. Big error, woman. Error was yours torching my stake. Time to even it. She lobbed the charge. The blast ripped down, toppling a spire 3 of Silas's vanished in rubble and roar. The rest bolted, dust-blinded. In the bedlam, Ethan flanked Silas's second, a pockmarked brute called Vance, sliding steel into his rib-silent, surgical. For left, then 3, as Lydia's gun thundered from the haze. Dust settled. Just Ethan and Silas, 20 paces of shattered earth between. Always boils to this, Silas sneered, palm itching for his holster. Two guns, quickest twitch wins. Don't gotta, Ethan said. Saddle up and ghost. Silas cackled, echoing like a mad dog. You murdered my broth-era thief, sure, but blood's blood. Your Sid was scum-raped and robbed his way. The world gained without him. Kin is kin. Silas's stare iced over. Draw, bastard. They pulled in sync, but Silas was lightning his shot tore Ethan's thigh, revolver skittering. Silas advanced, barrel steady on Ethan's heart. Final words. Iron Ethan? Yeah. Ethan grinned through agony. Dive. Lydia's carbine cracked from the heights. Silas's skull jerked, body folding like cheap paper. Quiet draped the maze like a shroud. Ethan rose, gripping his leg, as Lydia descended. She knelt, probing the wound tenderly. You'll mend. We both will. Now what? Your life's ash. She glanced at the distant smolder, then him hazel eyes soft with uncharted calm. North. Wyoming. Clean slate. Ethan nodded. Out here, folks reinvented, ditching specters in the dust. 6 months on, Ethan Harlan stood on a bluff above Wyoming's wide plains, wind whispering through sagebrush. The leg scar had faded to a pale streak, but deeper cuts lingered. Lydia stepped from their modest homestead, bearing 2 mugs of Joe. She sported a plain gingham, now no smuggling, no flirt with fate in the Badlands. Yet she remained a force, auburn tresses aflame in the sun. Any second thoughts? She asked, joining him on the porch swing he'd hammered together. Ethan pondered. Behind, a wake of violence, choices etched in blood. Ahead, endless sky, ripe with promise. On Silas? Nah. The raids? Forget it. He took her hand, rough from the trail. On you? 0. She beamed, pure and unshadowed. Never said thanks for seeing the woman I could become, not the ghost I was. Below, a wagon train rumbled by, pioneers chasing dreams. It was a scene Ethan hadn't glimpsed since boyhood, hopeful, unbroken. We lasting, Lydia wondered. 2 wrecks piecing a life. Ethan squeezed tight. We already did. An eagle wheeled above, riding thermals free. Ethan watched, musing on do-overs and redemption's odd math. Sometimes grace arrives unexpectedly in a bold woman's grasp, the instant you choose her over your skin. And they lived it, building a ranch, raising a family, the past buried deep as Texas roots. Silas's ghost? Long gone. The Comanche threats? Faded legend. Ethan and Lydia? Unbreakable, their bond forged in fire, thriving in peace they'd earned with every bullet and heartbeat. What did you think of Ethan's choice to trust Lydia amid the chaos-heroic gamble or reckless folly? Share your take in the comments. Side with the smuggler's code or the lawman's path. Voice your stance on second chances in a lawless world. Let's debate it out.